Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? Oh, let me turn that down. As you come in, feel free to share this with your followers. I haven't been on Scope in a while, so I'm glad to be here. I have some time. Can you guys see me the regular way, or do I look like I'm sideways? Hey, 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 hey. Am I straight? I'm good. All right. So some of you guys, hey, hey, I am back. I am back. It's good to be back. I've been wanting to scope so bad, and I finally have more of a reason to. And yeah. So I'm here. Hey, Liz. Hey, Tia. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Feel free to share with your friends and double tap the screen to get parts. I've told this story once before, but I ended up having to delete it's a really exciting story too. I don't know where I'm looking. I think I'm supposed to be looking here, but either way it'll work out. But I told a story about the young lady who I was actually driving on the road, and I saw her boyfriend throw her out of the car in the middle of oncoming traffic, and nobody seemed to stop or do anything. And I was literally on my way to drop my car off to get service and a whole bunch of other stuff, and Holy Spirit just was like, you have to stop. You have to help her. The gentleman drugged the girl into a parking lot that was across the street, left her car in the middle of the road, and then ended up to continue to tussle with her in the parking lot. So I turned the corner, pulled over. Of course, I was cautious. And as I was pulling in, I was just like praying, and I was like, God, protect me and protect her. And I walked in, and the situation seemed to settle. But what ended up happening was that I started talking to them really calmly, like, hey, are you guys okay? Because I didn't want to scare him. I didn't know if he had anything on him or anything crazy. So I was like, hey, are you guys okay? What's going on? At this point, she you remind me of my, okay. At this point, she had ran up to me and gave me a hug and was just like, thank you so much for stopping. What did she say to me? She whispered in my ear, and she was like, thank you. And I think she might have whispered even save me or something to that extent. And I was just like, feeling out the situation. So I'm looking at him. It's very clear to me what's going on here. It's domestic abuse. She's telling me how he put her in the hospital 2 weeks prior to that. I asked her where her cell phone was, and he had her cell phone. And this was all like deja vu for me, because I went through domestic abuse. And I remember when I went through my situation, my boyfriend at the time then took my phone from me. And they take it, of course, so you don't call 911, which was another thing she was saying. She was like, call 911, call 911, when she first saw me come up. And I'm sitting there talking to her, and she's still with him. I'm going to actually get to that. And she's not, but I'm going to actually get to that. And after that, we exchanged numbers and everything. And I was sitting there, and I was talking to her, and I was ministering to her, just letting her know, you're a beautiful girl. How dare you let anybody put their hands on you? You don't have to live this kind of life, and you don't have to go through this. And I was just, talking to her. And then, I looked at him, and he was like, oh, I asked him to step to the side, because at that point I wanted to talk to her by herself. And I was talking to her when I wanted to talk to her by herself, he didn't want to move. So at that point, he got really, really, really mad, and he was like, I don't have to go anywhere. She's wasting our time. I need to go to the bank. Da, 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 da. And at this point, I'm like, okay, now the real him is coming out. The true colors are being shown. I see what's happening here. So then he, wow, you're such a saint. We should all praise her for her bravery and being such a strong black woman. Then after me and him had a couple of words back and forth, I went ahead and I was like, you know what? I had to get really firm with him. I was like, look, go over there, because I need to talk to her. So then he actually ended up walking down the highway, and I guess he got scared at that point, thinking I was going to call the police or whatever the case. But I just really wanted to talk to her, and I wanted to pray with her. So I sat there and I talked to her a little bit more, and I did pray with her. I gave her a hug, and I let her know, like, call me after you get out of here, because I saw the police coming, and her car was literally in the middle of like a highway. And I was like, they're going to want to know what happened, and you should definitely file a restraining order. I said, if you need help, you want me to go with you, or any of that, let me know. So, I left it at that. And after I prayed with her, of course, when I left the scene, everybody thinks, oh, they're going to go back to the guy. They're just going to stay with them and yada, 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 yada. And I'm not going to lie, I was very, very concerned about what her livelihood was like after that. Did she drive down the street and go find her boyfriend? Did she go and actually file the report? I called her and she said that she actually did file the report. And she was with a police officer that day. So I was like, okay. And then I tried to check on her the next day and her phone was off. So I just prayed and I was like, God, if she's okay, just give me peace about it. And, I just hope to speak to her soon. But I know that I was able to do something by at least stopping the situation from going any further that day. So then she messages me maybe a couple of days later, and she said, is this the nice woman who stopped Friday? And I said, hey, Jamie, yes, it is. How are you? And she said, great, actually. She ended up getting into a car accident that night, but she's okay. And she filed the report with the police, and she just asked if giving them my phone number was okay to get my side of the story. So I told her absolutely. And she said, I'm happy God intervened with the accident. I would have never ended the relationship. I really appreciate your prayers, and you stopping meant a lot. So then she asked me my name and all of it, and I was like, I gave her my information, and then she said, thank you so much. Happy Easter. I will keep you in my prayers as well. You saved my life. So that was confirmation for me that, stopping that day meant something. A lot of people literally, they saw her get thrown out the car and they just kept on driving as if this wasn't happening in pure daylight. And I'm glad that I actually stopped and said, you know what? I'm going to have to be the bold, brave person today to say, I'm not just going to let this happen and just keep on driving as if it's not. And I'm glad that I did, because not only has she ended the relationship, but she actually has filed the restraining order. She's not in the relationship anymore. And I spoke to her last night as well. And she said she's going to, her court date is it's this month or whatever, and she wanted to know if I would go with her. And as I promised that I would walk with her through this process, I will be there. So I say all of that to say, a lot of times when it comes to domestic abuse situations, people always think that the woman is going to stay. Let me first tell you that I am a domestic abuse survivor, and I left the first time. So leaving the first time is possible. Everybody doesn't have to continuously go through the cycle in order to get the revelation that they need to leave. She might not have had anybody to help her before. And then, God does everything in his own perfect timing, Maybe it was meant to happen right then and there, and it was meant for me to stop and pray that whatever prayer I prayed to plant that seed in there so God can do whatever he wanted to do. And another thing that God showed me, he said, it's not about what you can do to help that person. It's about what the me that's in you working through you that can do for that person. Had I not stopped and prayed and planted the seed, who knows what would have happened. A lot of times we get caught up in what you can physically do, and I need to help, when all you really need to do is just go and be obedient to what God is telling you to do. And something as simple as a prayer could plant the seed for somebody to walk away from an abusive relationship. So I'm overjoyed with the fact that she walked away for one, and I was obedient for two, and then now she's free. I see we're Snapchat friends. I see her Snapchat, and she looks good. She looks happy. I'm sure she's emotionally still going through some things, but I'm glad that she's free. And the fact that she's going through with this says that she's bold enough and she's brave enough to walk away. So it's Stephen. It just keeps getting better and better. Hope he goes to jail. Just curious, was it a white couple? I don't think that they were fully white, no. Definitely not the male. The young lady, possibly, she could be fully white, but I didn't ask, if she was mixed with anything or anything to that nature. I needed you 10 years ago. That's awesome. Girl, I needed somebody, what was that, maybe 7 years ago. It was late the night that I went through my situation. It was late. We was in a parking lot. Did you tell her the part where you went ghetto? I breezed over it a little bit. I told him a little bit, but I did have to get really gangster with him. I had to show him that other side of me that I, keep at bay. But I had to let him know I'm not really the one to play with. And when I ask you to do something, you need to do what I say. Y'all need to get a gun and protect yourself unless you don't like guns. You're such a black woman. Maybe you have empowered someone years later to pay it forward. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I really, we have time, guys. Stop and help somebody. You just never know what it can turn out to be. Like, literally, the girl, she continues to say, you know, thank you for saving my life, because if you didn't stop, I probably wouldn't have walked away from that relationship, and who knows how much longer it would have been. She was just in the hospital 2 weeks prior from the same man putting his hands on her. So, you know, be obedient to what he says. But really, though, this stuff is real, and someone needs to stand seriously. Like, we need more people saying, you know what, I have time for this. Because the reality of it is what if that was my sister? You know, I have a bunch of sisters, real life blood sisters. What if it was my sister? I would want somebody to stop for her. And I wouldn't want them to care about, is she going to go back? He does. Is she going to go back to the relationship? No, just do something because you want to help somebody. Social media helps get the word out these days. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that means, but yeah. But yeah. So I'm happy, and I told myself a while ago when this happened, I was going to come on here and tell you guys the story. And because I got another update yesterday, I wanted to get on and share it with you guys and let you all know the amazing things that happened. How bad was my situation? It was really bad. It was dark one night, and the guy I was seeing at the time was extremely intoxicated, and I was doing a favor trying to drop him off home because he was too drunk to drive. And that's none of our business. If they go back, obedience is the key when guys. Exactly, Liz. Exactly. And he was too drunk to do anything, so I took him home. Things went left really quickly. I was drug out the car. I was punched multiple times in my face and my body. I was kicked and punched down to the ground. When I tried to take my phone and call 911, my phone was taken out of my hand and thrown across the parkway. I had bruises and scratches and all types of stuff all over my body. And this was from someone who claimed that they loved me and wanted to marry me one day. So, yeah, emotionally distraught. It was one of the worst things that I ever went through in my entire life, physically, abuse-wise. But I can identify with why women do go back, because you still love that person, but that person has done something so traumatic. You're like, what in the world, you know? So it's an first time from VA Beach. I work with domestic violence, sexual assault survivor, post-abortion healing. Oh, wow. Welcome to my scope. But yeah, it's the emotions that you experience the days after the entire ordeal are crazy. Crazy. So I understand why some women still go back, because you don't stop loving them. Your emotions and the way you feel about that person doesn't stop. Like, it's still there. Even though they did something so crazy, you still love that person, and you're still, and of course, if you have a soul tie to them, you're still desiring that person. So it's very, very real, the domestic abuse, and women that, you know, go back and forth with it. And I've had friends that have done that, and I couldn't understand it, but I can see why. I didn't go back, but I can see why. As long as you have bail money first. I still have flashbacks. Oh no, Albania. You need to be free, my friend. I bet she feels better every day now that she's out of that now. I know. I missed what you said, Stephen. Your title drew me. Your bravery is appreciated and so needed. Thank you. Absolutely. I'm just glad. I'm glad I was there. You know, one, I'm glad that I don't work a traditional job, that I could stop in the middle of my day and I can help somebody else. And two, I was glad that I was obedient to Holy Spirit, because even that day, my day kept getting it was delayed. And I was like, why am I behind schedule? And I really didn't get it. And then I was going to drive one way. Hopefully she'll be with Girls with Goals. Well, hopefully, you know, we're definitely building a relationship right now. So I'm not going to let her go that easily. I'm just going to let it happen organically. But I was going to go a different direction to get to my mechanic. And Holy Spirit was like, no, go straight. And I was like, okay, well, I'll take this way, whatever, I'll take it. And I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't have ran into her and her boyfriend and seen what happened. So just be aware of the signs. God led you to a situation that needed help. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just be aware of the signs. I'm a survivor of domestic violence abuse. God helped me to forgive him. Oh yeah, I absolutely forgave the guy that did that. I miss all the good stuff. If I was there, I would have been on Channel 5 for being a good citizen. I've worked with the population for almost 20 years, and healing deliverance process is so real. I absolutely positively believe that. And I feel like I don't know if forgiveness is a gift, but I believe that I have it if it is, and I easily forgive people, easily. And it took a little while. Don't get me wrong, I was mad, but I did forgive him, even to the point like I've seen him recently. I've seen him. We've sat down, we've talked, and he's actually apologized. You know, and he's like, I'm sorry. You know, and you're doing good. Blah 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 blah. You guys are better than me to forgive. I always think of guys that, oh, it's a choice and it's a gift, but it's always a ministry of deliverance. Absolutely. It's definitely a choice. You choose to forgive people. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for me, is because I don't like to dwell on anything. So if I find that someone is taking up that much of my mental space and I'm dwelling on something and it's stopping me from being productive or whatever, I'm like, let me just go ahead and forgive this person and move on. Your forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Exactly. Because I want to be free. It was easy for me to feel, but it was almost instant. I'm trying to read fast. But yeah. So you forgive, you move on, and I just don't want to harbor those. I don't ever want to feel like that about anybody, you know? And I understand some things take time for forgiveness, but this particular thing, I was able to be like, look, okay, I'm going to forgive you, and amen. So how is everyone else doing? I haven't scoped in a while, so it's good to see you. Or do you have any questions for me about my domestic abuse situation or about this situation? Unforgiveness is a choice to stay bound in the mind of someone else. Exactly. Forgive them, release them, and move on into your destiny with God. I agree. I 100% agree. Unforgiveness is the root of so many things that hold you back in life, and I just refuse to let anybody that your house looks really nice. Hey, thank you. I refuse to let anybody have that much power over me. Like, I feel like you have some type of control over me if I'm allowing you to, you know, how did you get saved from the situation that night? Someone step in? No. I didn't. Nobody stepped in. That was the thing. I think it was just God that had him stop fighting me. And I ran in the house. I ran in my apartment and I just broke down on the ground and started crying. Of course, what would be your advice to young people who see the signs of abuse? Oh yeah, I'll do that too. I broke down and started crying, and my neighbor, I ran to her home because she was the only person I could think of that was up. And she was like, what happened? And she called the police, and the police came and got me. No, the ambulance. The police came and the ambulance came and got me. And took me away because the side of my face had started to swell. And they thought I might have had like some internal brain bleeding of some sort. So they were like, you know, you need to go and see what's going on. Sorry, I got a message at the same time. See what's going on and make sure that you're not bleeding in your brain. Was it the first time he hit you? Oh, this was the first time. That's the thing. This was the first time, but he actually had a criminal record of it, but I didn't know that. So one thing I would tell you is to, you know, and I don't say look at someone's background history to judge them, but to look at it so you're aware, because people make mistakes, and anybody can, you know, date for data. Absolutely. Anybody can, you know, recover and be set free from any mistake they've done in their life. I believe that wholeheartedly. But had I would have known that, I would have been paying more attention. You have an amazing destiny because of the enemy has plotted and failed. Amen. I receive that. Mine happened in front of my children. Very bad situation. Jesus. Well, you know, I've seen my mother be physically abused before too. So I can, from a child's perspective, I can see how that was. But I was like the gangster child, and I was like, I'll fight for my mom. So, you know, it still hurt as a child because I never wanted to see anybody put their hands on my mother. But definitely something that I can identify with. She's still gangsta. Absolutely. It's not going anywhere. But so I would say that definitely look for the signs if you can see them. And be prayerful. Back then, you know, I didn't consult anybody about who I dated. It was a relationship that was just out of whack anyway. Like it was just bad. Like it wasn't from the Lord at all. Okay? At all. So had I had the wisdom I have now as a woman, I would have definitely not even dated him for one. So, you know, I saw that in my own home as a child, so it affects me to some degree. Yeah. So definitely be prayerful. And if if they're a heavy drinker, beware of that. He was a heavy drinker. I probably should have paid more attention to that. Yes, praise God we survived and we're all here to tell the story to save someone else and have compassion towards that person. But he was a heavy drinker, and I think if I would have had the wisdom I had now, I would have paid more attention to that and really would have been like, well, why is he drinking so much? Is it rooted to anger? What is it? You know, what more is with the drinking? Because he still drinks like that. So, you know, do your background check for future men, or how do you see the signs in a guy? I mean, I would do a background check just because I want to be aware, and I would hope that they would do the same for me. I mean, I'm not squeaky clean. On paper, you know, it's a little interesting if they're controlling, especially about the small things like what color they run. Exactly. That's another good one, Liz. But, you know, I'm not squeaky clean on paper either. But I'm saved, delivered, and set free. And none of that stuff has held me bound. So I wouldn't absolutely positively judge anybody. But I would definitely be aware of those things and say, hey, have you dealt with this? Have you been delivered? Have you sought counsel? You know, how were you in your spirit with this situation? You know, so it's definitely something that you would want to be aware of before you go into a relationship with someone. We all have good in us, and we all have everybody's got good and bad. And you have your good and you have your bad, and a lot of your bad can shape you. Your outward appearance often tells the inside story at the end of the bottle of emptiness. Very true. Very true. And the end of the joint, they are the only one left burnt. That's good. Steven, where are you? I said, it feels like you're getting stirred up, like you should scope next, maybe. So, yeah, that was my story with the girl. Word life, great topic. Oh, hey, that's for Sean. How are you? I don't know how much of the story that you saw, but I'm at the end now. Hello from Morrisville, Washington State. Newbie to your scope. My name is Queen. Hi, how are you? Welcome to my scope. I'm Jennifer Mason. For the people that are on here for the first time, I haven't scoped in a long time. I'm a presidential diamond with It Works Global. I'm also a certified Christian life coach. I call myself the self-worth coach. And I also have a nonprofit for young girls where I show them how to pursue their passion so they can feel their purpose. And I think that's everything. Oh, and I have an academy for women as well called Establisher, which I will be launching the second round this summer. I was going to do it in the spring, but it just was no way possible for me to do it. So I'm going to launch it in the summer. The first round was amazing. Oh yeah, and I'm launching a boutique this month on my birthday. I might be doing a bit much because I'm forgetting everything that I do. But yeah, I'm launching a boutique on my birthday, so you guys are going to definitely hear more and more about that. I literally got another piece in today that I just took off from trying on, and I love it. My photo shoot is this Thursday, so I'll have everything set up and ready to go on my birthday. If you don't check yourself after being abused, you can end up becoming the abuser. I can agree. Yeah. I think you definitely need to go through some type of a healing progress, for sure. Congratulations. Thank you, girl. So that's who I am. Welcome to my scope. And if you're just getting on, you're going to have to, catch the replay for the whole story. That olive jacket was awesome. I love that olive jacket. It's so bad, y'all. Excuse me. When I buy stuff, I have to, make sure I get one for me, too. I'm like, okay, so these I'm going to sell. But this one is going in the closet for me to keep. Because everything that I pick out for the boutique, I want. Oh, I got a message. So, yeah. I believe all survivors need counseling, healing, and deliverance afterwards. Absolutely. One for me, two for boutique. I see no problem. That's how I like to look at it, too. I don't think I've ever gotten, going through, a healing process or anything. I think God literally just healed me. And, God can do that because it didn't it didn't stay with me for long. And over the years, God just kind of like, just kept taking pieces of it out. And it just got to the point where it was like, you know, it's part of my story, but that's it. It's just a part of my story that I survived to help somebody else. But it didn't really damage me. Even moving on forward in future relationships, I was never really concerned or afraid of another man hitting me. Now that I think about it. Yeah, God, like, there's a lot of stuff God has just done. Like, you know what? Here you go. But I think that's because of the relationship I have with him as well. So, you know. But I encourage everybody to go through some type of healing and deliverance. And I'm going through, not the full, like, process, but I'm going through acute deliverances over the years, you know. Go up to the altar, pray. God come down and touch you. I've had plenty of those. And, you know, it only takes one touch from God for you to be healed, set free, and delivered from anything. So, any more questions, my friends? It's 7:33. Thank you for the hearts. And thank you for sharing. If you're catching the replay, thank you for staying on. Success with Sharina. Sharina, you can definitely just catch the replay after this, and you can see the whole story. To sum it up, there was a young lady that was in a domestic abuse situation I saw on the side of the road, and I helped her out, and she is definitely being freed from this situation, and she's taken the right steps into staying out of this relationship. And it was just a testament of when you're obedient to God and you stop and do what he says, even your seed of a prayer can go farther than you physically being able to do anything for anybody else. Like, sometimes people just, like, I think the hug and holding her hands and just speaking those words of life and prayer into her, God was like, thank you. Now you can go on. I got it from here. And that's literally what I'm seeing happen before my eyes. So, just want to encourage people not to look the other way just because of what you think is the norm and what typically happens in these types of situations. Make sure that you do your part, because one day it could be you, one day it could be somebody in your family. You're going to hope that somebody else stopped, and who knows what would have happened. You know, I'm glad she didn't get hit by a car, because he did throw out the car, and I'm glad that the situation didn't continue, because who knows what would have happened for the rest of the day. She'll remember you always, and I'm gonna always remember her. You know, I think we'll probably be a part of each other's lives for some time. I don't really see her getting rid of me. Bye. I'm going to be getting off of here soon too, unless we have some more questions, because I am hungry and I have a training call. I have a business call at 8 that my business partner is doing, and I have some prospects getting on there. So if you want to know some more about It Works, find me on Facebook and I'll add you to that. It's a Facebook Live. Jennifer Michelle Mason is my name on Facebook. And then I have a training call with my wonderful team, Rap Destiny, with a lot of my new girls, and we're going to start goal setting and mapping out our month, so that way, you know, if you don't see me on Scope again, that's probably where I am, somewhere working. But I am going to try to hop on, yes, Tiffany, training, because you're going Ruby this month. You probably can go Emerald too. Nice to meet you. I will follow your Scopes now. Bless you, woman of God. Thank you so much, Minister Keisha. Let me follow you too. And looking forward to you scoping, woman of God. You do this, you do what I do for a living. You should be telling everybody about this. Yes, I'm going all the way. Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys are doing amazing. I'm proud of y'all. So yeah, let me go finish dinner, and you're welcome. You guys have an amazing, amazing, amazing evening. I'm going to try to get back on here again sometime this week, because we're going to be gearing up for the next round of the academy. I have girls reaching out to me like, has round 2 started? And I feel bad, because I feel like I just confirmed, well, amen. I feel like I need to go ahead and do it and get it going, because it's definitely a blessing, and it's a life-changing academy that God has put together, and he's delivering it through my coaching program. So if you want more information about that, you can go to my website and find out about that. Have a great night and thanks for sharing. Bye, Keita. Yes, Tia, I can't wait either. Have a blessed day, sis. I need to get to work. Go ahead and get to work, or I need to get back to work too. I took like a break for a change to scope. But I'm going. Bye, guys.